I never didn't believe in Bigfoot. I never believed in it, I didn't believe in it. I never gave it any thought.
They kept wood knocking back and forth to each other, and it was in a pattern.
Barn owls don't typically throw rocks.
I come across these tracks.
Sasquatch is still not on my mind.
I told everybody that I was going to start searching the IMDb page for guests for this podcast instead of Facebook, so I quit getting crazy people. And here we go. Mr. Joe Tury, a documentarian filmmaker. We were about to nerd out before we get going on his journey, which is amazing, and got a lot to talk about. Like, this subject matter is going to ping off the wall. Some of you may want to go take a restroom break. Before we get started, check out my coffee sponsor, store.friggincoffee.com. I'm not drinking it tonight because I had to get something from my little Nespresso machine because I was in a hurry. I'm going on a Squatch camp out this weekend. Hopefully I don't get snipe hunted. I hope I'm smarter than that. Grew up in North Alabama, so you can't fool me that way. But yeah, check me out, bobbydizzle.com. Always to find me, iTunes, Spotify, several others, iHeartRadio. I don't know that I'm on what's the other one? I don't know if I'm on iHeartRadio. I don't know if I'm on another one. But yeah, I'm on the big one. Spotify and iTunes is all that matters as far as I'm concerned. But enough about me. I always say that. We got Mr. Joe Tury from. Are you in Illinois right now?
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
For some reason, I thought Canada because I've had a bunch of Canadians lately, and I was like, where is he from? I think he's from Illinois. Well, Joe is Mr. Tury is a documentary filmmaker, a very optimistic skeptic of the Bigfoot subject matter, and his I'm going to say his most famous, to me at least, documentary. If you have other ones, I'm sorry. That's the one I was focusing on this week because it pertains to the subject matter. The creature from Big Creature from Big Muddy?
Creature from Big Muddy. Yep.
Not the creature.
Correct.
Yeah, it's one of the better ones. I mean, I've watched. I mean, when I was watching it, it was after Halloween. I was finishing it up, and I was tired and I was sleepy. My kids were at the gym, and I was watching them, and it was like keeping me alert. I was like, he's putting on a clinic on documentaries.
Oh man, I appreciate that. Like, I mean, I try to keep it real, and I mean, I still have a lot to learn, but I'm proud of that one.
It reminds you of like a doctorate study level in like a mass comm class. Like this is it's like one of those good projects, but it's a full length. It's like an hour and 10.
Somewhere around there. Yeah, it's a little bit less than that, I think. But yeah, I don't like to go over an hour on docs because I think they tend to get dry. You got to really have a lot of stuff going on. I made that mistake on a previous doc and try to cut it back.
You really made everybody just get just enough of the dish of each little guy on there, each guest or witness on there until you were done it, and just cut to the next one. Like right about the time you're like, okay, and boom, gone. You kind of wanted a little more.
Well, I mean, like I said, like if you put everything in there that you film, it'll be 2 hours long. You know what I mean? So
it'll be a Charlton Heston movie.
Right. And I don't think it's going to hold attention if you go too far on those interviews. So
I think I'm not sure if you meant to do it, but you're watching it and it goes almost like from the more scientific and credible witnesses, the guys like you got the law enforcement, you got the kid that felt the pain and the fear, and it gets down to the evening news type of witnesses toward the end. It gets down to the tornado witnesses toward the end. I'm loving it.
That's funny. It's kind of like that. And I wanted to throw a little bit of that aspect in there because everybody has their own beliefs, and I was a little bit worried about my friend Chris, who's talking more about the paranormal aspect. And
is that cowboy hat?
No, it's after him. He's towards the end. He's got tattoos. He's a shaman, actually, or
Yeah. Chris, Coyote Chris.
Coyote Chris. Yeah.
I think I've talked to him before.
He sadly passed away, but yeah, I get a lot of compliments on his part, which kind of shocked me because that's kind of the fringe stuff on that one. But
you basically had a lineup of it. It reminded me of every podcast guest I've ever had. It's like the same. It's like the same guy.
That's funny.
I've had every one of those people on. The guy in the salvage yard was amazing. Like he was like one of the tornado witness kind of guys.
Right. I love.
He was not lying.
Right.
He had his mother-in-law involved. I'm like, wait, what?
So he was on this show called Mysteries and Monsters. They did about a 15-minute doc or piece on him. This is like 2010 or so, and his story is basically the same. He changed one part of it, but I found out why he changed it on that show because he was told to by the producers, to make it more exciting or whatever you want to call it. It was a part about when the gun was pulled out. They made it on the show. He made it sound like he pulled it out, not his security guard.
Yeah.
But it turns out like he was told to do that. That's how television works. But I mean, it was intriguing to me that his story was virtually the same. 12 years later from when he told it before.
What I think is crazy about that is it was a white one or silverish white creature that everybody was seeing. Like it was like a big elephant in the room with every one of those guys who had never met or heard each other's story, and everybody said the same thing about that monster. Big muddy.
And so yeah, it's called the Big Muddy Monster, and so I found out about it by the book cover, and it had a white Bigfoot on it, and I'm like, that's what kind of drew me to it. I'm like, what's going on here, and that's what kind of captured my attention as well,
It does, and I'm in North Alabama near Huntsville.
Okay,
I have a Huntsville address, and it's on the Tennessee line. Next county up, Lincoln, something else, but there's a town called Flintville.
Okay,
a little marshy flat area there. It's 18 miles away from where I'm sitting right now. I did a Google thing, and they have something called the Flintville monster.
Okay,
and people have seen it step over chain link fences, flat-footed, and it's white.
Okay.
And so everybody says it's white too. So whenever I was seeing that, I was like, "Holy crap! It's like the same vein." The same,
like I'm sure you're like me. You listen to a lot of different organizations and what have you, and then some of the legitimate ones that I listen to, like there's one, the North American Wood Ape Conservancy down in Oklahoma. Yeah, they talked about seeing like a gray and a white one down there. A lot of people never hear about that stuff, but I mean, if you delve into the subject enough, you'll hear stories about white ones, which makes sense. Like if they age, maybe.
Yeah,
and change hair color like we do. Primates do that. So,
I mean, the Yeti's white. They could have migrated.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know how much of the you were saying you were a cautious skeptic, optimistic skeptic.
Yeah,
but I don't know how many people you talked to about it other than the big muddy people. Have you done
lots of people? Yeah.
It will give you like a feeling in your stomach, like, is this real? Is it not?
Yeah, for sure. And it depends on what day of the week it is if I believe it or not. There's sometimes I'm just like, this is BS, and then other times it's like, well, listening to these guys, it sounds legit. Like depending on, like I said, there's certain organizations out there where you're that are a lot more believable than some. People that do long-term studies and things like that, and they're not making outrageous claims, and you're like, well, this guy's a banker and he's into this stuff, so that kind of makes it more intriguing and believable to me, depending on yeah, for sure.
I don't understand. I had a book in a book fair when I was 10 years old in 4th or 5th grade, and it was called The Scariest Stories You've Ever Heard, and it had the Hook, the Hook urban legend where the couple drove off, and it had the calls come from inside the house.
Right.
And one of them was just called the Tale of Sasquatch, and I remember reading that and just fascinated me. I'm 10 years
Right.
old,
Yeah.
and it's kind of just like I've never been able to just like suppress it. Like I don't know why. Like I was never obsessed with it. I've only done this because the audience responded. Like I said, they doubled down, and I was like, "Yep, I'm just doing Bigfoot stuff, 70-30, just about."
That's kind of funny you say that, because I'm along the same lines where
Mhm.
I heard about it when I was a kid, but I'm not like your typical guy who's been obsessed with it and can quote everything. I mean, I know a lot of the stories and such, like, but I'm the same way where
Mhm.
it just for some reason stayed with me, my whole life.
I've tried to like wonder like what fascinates me about this, because it's not really anything if you think about it.
Right.
It's, if you boil it down, it's just a person in the woods that no one knows about. But I'm like, why in the world does this particular topic? And when we get on a good podcast with like a witness or a researcher that's been in the woods, I start getting this happy Christmas morning feeling in my stomach. It's like reverse butterflies. I can't describe it. Like, and just watching some of these documentaries, and like your documentary, like I said, was sounded like a lot of people I've talked to.
Okay.
I swear I've met some of them before. Like I was like, do I know him? There's a couple of them, like Bob at the end with the junkyard where he saw the creature. Like, have I heard this story? And there's a For the Love of Robots on Netflix has one where the I don't know if you know that story. The show. It's all computer generated, but it's like the Twilight Zone on Netflix.
Okay.
And one of them is about a monster in a junkyard that eats all the city inspectors and stuff, and it kind of reminded me of that.
Nice. Yeah.
The way he was.
I mean, yeah, there's something intriguing about, the junkyard's a dangerous place, and then you got a monster in there, of course. So,
Plenty of places to hide.
Right.
And it was pretty good.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, and I shared it with 4 or 5 other people, and I think a couple watched it.
Nice.
I was going to ask, am I allowed to share, or do you prefer that I share from that Dash Movies channel? Like, is that pirated, or is
that Stash TV, or do you know
Stash TV?
You know that what's funny is I thought it was pirated a couple weeks ago. I found it on YouTube, and I'm like, I put a copyright strike out against it, and then I researched my distributor, and they're one of the companies on my distributor. So I'm like, oops, I made a mistake, because I never heard Stash TV. Kind of sounds a little sketchy. Sorry, Stash TV, but so I had to remove the copyright strike. Yeah, it's legit. It's I prefer to
put in the description.
I mean, it's better. I think Tubi. You can watch it for free on Tubi. If you don't want to see commercials, you can rent it on Prime, of course. I think the quality is better on Prime, but that's my opinion, I guess. Tubi seems to be a little bit compressed, and so is YouTube. But I mean, it is what it is. If you want to watch it for free, watch it for free. If you can handle some commercials,
it'll cut to an ad.
Yeah.
It's quick.
Yeah.
At one point, the ads colors were similar to the show, and I got confused. What? That's a weird jump cut.
That's awesome. What'd you think about the coloration?
Oh, like we're talking about before. Like I could tell. I said, this guy's putting on a clinic with that DSLR. And what I thought was that my mental notes, and I had notes but they're in my hoodie, and I don't know where my hoodie is. But basically, what I was thinking of is how you were able to get this Technicolor elaborate colors out of nothing, because it was the fall of the year. There was no colors, and it looked like I was watching like a Coen Brothers kind of show almost.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it had that Coen look.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to give it some like a little bit of a gritty look. You know what I mean? Like a little bit of a vintage retro vibe. Well, not going too extreme with it. I think most people are okay with it. Some people, you got your snobs that complain about things like that. But I mean, again, I'm still learning. I thought it was all right, but I'll get better as it goes.
It's always fun to do stuff with colors like that, though.
Yeah.
I made a Keurig life hack back in 2020 or 2012, and I shot it all on my DSLR and had like rack focus on the Christmas lights.
Okay.
It was like a Christmas special, and
yeah,
I had all kinds of stuff going on. But and it also gave it the feel almost. It was almost Blair Witchy with the color
nice
scheme in the woods.
nice.
And it had like an ominous look. It had like an ominous look and feel because the music kind of felt that way too. So it was like a horror. It's like it had a touch of horror movie to it.
Right, right.
And some intensity you didn't know was there till you like, whoa, this is kind of intense.
You know what? And you get complaints about that stuff too. But I mean, like when I watch documentaries, I kind of like the little bit background music I mean, as long as it's not blowing up in your face or anything, I appreciate that type of stuff. I think it's an art to me, right? It's not, you're trying to entertain people. You're while being faithful to your subject matter. You know what I mean?
There's really no wrong way to make a documentary as long as it flows and it's
right.
have dead spots.
Right.
Like that one shot talking about the shaman. Who was it? And it did the reverse waterfall.
Yeah.
Was that you doing the voiceover? Was that someone else?
That's me. Yeah, that's me.
Is it?
I had to think about it because I got several documentaries. That's the one I did. I was talked into it by one of my friends, so I did it.
Not a bad job. I was looking.
I appreciate that.
What was I thinking? I got all these things in my mind here. Look at my notes here. UFO coming up, docs. Yeah, just the way it starts off, and I started, and the creature comes up, and it's a guy in a suit.
Right.
The YouTube comments alone were killing me. You got some good YouTube comments.
You know, that part, the whole part about the suit confuses people who I think it's the hardcore Bigfoot people. They're like, well, he just says in the movie that it was fake. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying some people said it was a hoax, and we're trying to show that little aspect of it. I try to make it to where people can make up their own minds whether they think it's fake or not. I have believers in there, non-believers, and it's not meant to push a subject on people. It's to tell a story. I kind of did it in my mind like a newscast would do it in a way. Like if a news reporter was investigating it, you're just telling the facts. I'm not trying to push any agenda on somebody, Yeah,
I got confused about like it was going through this, telling all these reports, and then all of a sudden it has a cop saying it was fart spray or something. I'm like, wait, what did I miss? I was going to ask you about that part. Like, what was he talking about? Like,
so that wasn't the cop, but it
was like somebody was saying.
Yeah, that's my buddy Bruce, and so Bruce knows a guy who claims it was a hoax, and the guy supposedly said he made a suit and he made skunk spray. And he was just waiting on the side of the parking lot one day, waiting for some people to come by in the middle of the night. And he used his fart spray to, and it's like, I can't tell you. I mean, I'm the hoaxer stories are almost as unbelievable to me as the people that say they saw it. So what are you supposed to believe? Because the hoax story doesn't sound believable at all, right? I mean,
it's really circumstantial. Like something stuff has to happen. Otherwise, you're just in a swamp all night in a suit.
Right. I mean, but like again, maybe he's telling the truth and it was all a hoax. But it doesn't seem like to me. There's got to be a better explanation than a hoax. There could be hoax,
across different people.
Right. In different areas. It wasn't all from the same spot or anything, Yeah, or the same time period. So
yeah, it was like a different decades almost, wasn't it?
Yeah.
First one started in the 70s.
So my two friends that they're authors, they wrote the Big Muddy book. Chad Lewis and Kevin Lee Nelson, along with their friend Noah Voss, another author. So they like pretty much set me up with most of the interviews because a lot of these people were in their book, right? And just listening to them, like they told me that there's like stories that went over 100 years. I mean, it wasn't just a time period. It was just that this particular time in the 70s was kind of like a big deal. That's where it got most of its notoriety. And then there was that the junkyard event happened in the 80s. So yeah,
it was like 10 foot tall. He said it was like a basketball goal.
Right. I mean, a lot of, and then some of the other stories, like I said, I could have made a 2-hour documentary. There's a lot more information in the book than there is in the documentary. The book's called The Big Muddy Monster. But yeah, I mean,
can I share a picture of the suit without
yeah.
it for, I found it in there. It's great.
Yep. That's Chad. So he was so excited. Like his initial idea behind it was he wanted to go into the actual Big Muddy River with it. And we kind of talked him out of it. We're like, that might not be the safest thing to do. So we found an inlet in the lake in the area, and we did it there. And I thought it turned out like it's supposed to look kind of cheesy. That's the whole point of it, and it's not meant to be super special effect. This is what the Big Muddy Monster looked like. This is what it may have looked like in 1973 if a guy made his own suit. And this suit right here is probably better than what some dude can make in the 70s, right? I mean, unless you're have some high-end money and you're a special effects artist. What a lot of people don't understand is in 73, it was pretty hard to make a realistic suit. You know what I mean? So that's why the whole hoax thing kind of throws me off. And I'm not saying everything was real. I think people saw something. I can't tell you what they saw, but I kind of shy away from the whole hoax theory.
The fact that there's all that old newspaper too.
Right. Yeah.
You're saying 100 years. Like I didn't want to show your whole documentary on here.
Oh, you're good.
But there's some points. Monster Quest. This what did you think of this cast?
Okay, so it's a little bit difficult to see there, but like in the book you could actually see it a lot better. But I thought so it's not a cast, it's like they cast it and then they made an impression with the cast into some other material. So it's like, and I forget what that's called, right? And so at first, when I first saw it and filmed it and all that stuff, I thought, man, I just don't understand, like looking at it. What am I really looking at here? But, since then I've seen like bear casts that are kind of like this. So, and her story, like that's Jessica, and her grandma's the one that actually saw something cross the road. And then her father was the one that helped cast this. Again, this isn't a cast. It's like an impression of a cast.
Yeah, it was a weird thing. Like they did like the cast and then had it pushed down in it.
Yeah.
Filled it up or something. The way she described it, it's like a cast within a cast.
So I mean, if you listen to Jessica, like she's very believable, just the way she tells what happened with her grandma and things like that. And then again, like this cast isn't your typical, man, this looks like a Bigfoot, but understanding how it was made and then knowing that there's other animals out there that have a kind of a look like that makes it more intriguing to me, actually. What'd you think?
Bear's really similar.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I thought. I was watching this part here and it it goes some very intriguing evidence you may have or something like that. And I thought there was like a cover over something. I didn't realize that was it. It was
right.
I thought that was a cloth over the top of something.
Right. Yeah.
It cut to that. I'm like, oh, well, it's definitely a vague footprint shape.
Yeah.
But yes, it's very. You got to really squint.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said,
when it was first taken,
in better lighting and everything, it looks a lot a bit more different than what you're seeing right there. You can actually.
I bet
tell
when it was first made, it would look better.
Yeah. So that was 50 years ago.
Yeah, she's talking like insane amount of time.
Yeah.
Was there? Could it be albino bears? I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, so there hasn't been like official bear population in Southern Illinois for quite a long time, but then
that's what I was thinking. I'm like, is there?
Recently, I've heard that there kind of been sightings again coming over from Missouri. So is there an albino bear? I mean, I don't know if there's I don't know if there's reports of one, but I 100% believe they were seeing something. I don't believe it was a hoax. I just don't know what they were seeing. Like I can't sit here and go, oh yeah, I believe it was a Bigfoot. But I mean, who knows?
That'll
I
keep
don't
you
know.
up at night.
Yeah.
But I've got a friend in Minnesota that has like his property. People go, like several of the famous documentarians have been out to his property. They say it's like Skinwalker Ranch. Like they see the eye shine and all the different stuff. And he set a picture that had the back of a being, which 6 or 8 feet tall, maybe more. And it's not a bear. And it's like, well, what is it? Like you're like, that's a Bigfoot. Well, maybe not.
Right.
Then you look at a still frame of the Patterson footage, and it's the same back.
Nice.
And like, so which one of these is a hoax? Is it real? Is it bear? Are they both bear? It's a winding road. It'll drive you nuts.
Oh yeah, that's why I say it depends on what day of the week whether I believe it or not.
The more people I talk to, that I'm like, man, it's hard to not believe some days.
Yeah,
it's a weird.
That's another part about the phenomenon that I really like. It's like, how does it affect the community? How do these stories affect the community? You know, and there's got to be something to it, right? It would be really, really weird if there was actually no sightings and all these people are saying that they saw something. So they're seeing something. Obviously there's misidentifications or hoaxes or like people are seeing stuff that they're not familiar with and they just in their mind maybe plays tricks on them. But what percentage is that? And what percentage may be just the truth, you know?
Yeah, to say you saw that particular kind of thing, you either saw a bear or you saw that thing.
Right.
I don't think.
Right. It's not a moose. You're not going to say you saw a Bigfoot if you see a moose, but
because you get like full frontals of the moose and it just isn't a glimpse.
Right. Yeah.
Was the choice to show the last half next to this structure on purpose? Yeah, so because I sure to goodness that was there for a reason.
So I don't know what to tell you about structures, and that guy right there. That's Zach. He's actually a good friend of mine now because of this movie. Like we've been on camp outs together and things like that, and I talk to him all the time. Do I believe that's a Bigfoot structure? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you about that. He claims it is, but I mean, he didn't see it made. So how does he know it's a Bigfoot structure? But a lot of people believe things. Yeah. A lot of people believe that stuff is Bigfoot structures. So I didn't want to, at the time, put it out in the movie, you know, this is a Bigfoot structure, you know?
I knew why it was there.
I mean, the Bigfooters know. Bigfooters know. So
I saw that. I'm like, that's there on purpose in the background.
Right. Yeah.
I don't honestly think that there's maybe 10% legitimacy to those because I was on the forestry team in the FFA back in high school and and people send me pictures of stuff that we studied.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's when a tree falls and together and it happens, trees fall.
Yeah.
I mean, look.
I see that all the time in the woods. Mm-hmm. Like if I'm in the woods, I'll see things like that. I mean, occasionally you'll see something that's supposedly a structure that you're like, now how did that happen? But I mean, who knows? Yeah.
There's sometimes they find them and there's like and the tree's been ripped out of the ground and stuck upside down.
Yeah.
That has my attention. Or when a big limb, this big around gets twisted.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing. But as far as the tree structures go, if that's all the evidence you have, then you have no evidence as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
That happens.
I personally believe the footprint casts are the strongest things, followed by audio, and audio as a audio guy, you know, a documentarian who understands audio. I find a lot of audio to be a bunch of bull too, but there's some out there that you're like, no, that's weird. You know what I mean? So
I know exactly what you mean by that.
Yeah.
Like I'm going on this supposedly investigation this weekend. I may just meet people that I've talked to online. That may be all it is. I'm not, if that's all it is, I'm okay with it because it'll be fun. Not supposed to be too ungodly cold. But like, I want to go to these places where they hear those howls and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I grew up in rural Alabama, like in the woods. My house was in the woods. I know the noises. My bedroom window was open all night. And if I hear something I don't recognize, that's going to intrigue me. But I better not hear a bobcat, because I'm like, dude, that's a bobcat.
Right. So like there's a part in the documentary where I go over some audio. What'd you think about that? Do you remember that part?
The bobcat part?
Where there's like
the
owls and the owls make some crazy stuff. I didn't know they did that.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, and when it's gurgling and it's all kinds of crazy, I'm
You
used
ever heard
to
one? You ever heard them fight?
I don't know. I don't think so.
If you've never heard an owl fight and you walk out in the woods and that happened, you would think there was a Bigfoot 10 yards from it. It sounds like, how you were playing the
Yeah.
You were playing that part. Well, they get to where they just start squawking and beating the hell out of each other.
God. Well, like when we were out there filming, like we were staying in a hotel, but like Chad and Kevin were camping out, and Chad told me that they heard, sounded like to him, bobcats fighting, which I would have loved to. He said it was the creepiest thing he's ever heard in his life, so that got me thinking, because there's some like woodland trails even around here that I like to hike and go around, and I know this is stupid, but one day I was in there and there was like a squirrel, and a squirrel can make a lot of noise, and I was thinking, if you're not used to that type of noise, even a squirrel could make you think there's a Bigfoot out there. All kinds of animals will make noises, so
that you don't know about because you didn't learn about it in your CNC.
Right. Yeah.
A fawn in distress call sounds like the demon from hell.
Have you heard any? Have you heard babies crying?
Talking about babies, like an actual baby or a baby deer?
No, like out in the woods.
No,
because that's like one of the other sounds everybody says. Which
it's a bobcat though. That's what they sound like.
So, are you familiar with Small Town Monsters?
Mm-hmm.
So Alex Pedikov, he's had a couple series in Alaska, and he caught a baby cry out there, which I don't think there's bobcat in that area. So I wonder what it was, but that's one of the things people hear. If I heard it's something that sounded like a baby crying, I'd probably leave. I don't want to deal with that stuff.
Yeah, I'd have a rough time with it. But I can imagine the first time somebody hears a peacock.
Yeah.
That says help. Help.
Yeah.
There's a lot of animals that sound like babies crying when they do things like that. But like a bobcat's kind of like that, and in between that, like a woman's scream.
Right. Yeah. I've seen videos of cats making some crazy noises, and that's what, and so that's when, the logical side, if you want to call it that, of a person says, okay, these people are hearing just common animals and they don't know what they're hearing. But that's why I don't put a lot of faith in audio recordings. A lot of times I've heard audio recordings from, I'm not going to say their names, just from professional people, and they'll say, this is mimicking a voice, listen to it. Yeah, that's kind of like when you're watching a ghost hunter show and they're playing some EVP, and they tell you what it says before you listen to it.
I'll kill you.
Yeah,
it says I'll kill.
And it's really a mic rubbing against somebody's shirt. Mm-hmm. So
the Sierra sounds. If I hear those in the woods, that's going to be a different story. that's where I'm going to be like, okay, what are we doing? Do I need to put one in the chamber? Are we going to go back to the truck? I don't know.
That's funny. I've asked people about that. Like, some people seem to think they're legit. I don't think they're legit. I don't. The reason why I say that is because I have never heard another supposed Bigfoot recording that has those sounds in it. Maybe something that sounds slightly similar, but nothing like what they captured. And the audio, and as an audio guy, that audio is so pristine. It makes me think that, like, what were they up on the mic? Because that's what it sounds like. It's so
Bigfoot had a shear mic on his little
right. Yeah. So
I've had the guy
I don't
from
know.
Minnesota do the impression of those to me that he heard in his yard,
Really.
and it sounded like it.
Mm.
And I heard, and one guy I talked to said it sounded like two Asians arguing in the woods.
Yeah. Have you
crazy.
have you seen the campsite that they recorded that at? It's like they put
Sierra Sounds.
Yeah. So they were just like in this little log fort when they were recording it. So if that's legit, can you imagine hearing that stuff out in the middle of nowhere? I mean,
what I don't like about the Sierra Sounds is they're doing it back to them. I'm like,
yeah.
Dude, if you're here, stop it. What the fuck, man?
Yeah, right.
stop helping.
Right.
That's not how any other not how any other scientific
right.
shit works at all.
Yeah.
Like, who told you to do it? Stop it. There's a show called Joe Rogan's Questions Everything, and you may have seen it. And he goes to that office. And I reached out to everybody that's been on that show, and I got one of them.
Okay.
And it wasn't Joe Rogan.
Okay.
But it was, but when it drives me, that's my favorite episode is the Bigfoot one. The second's the remote viewer because I kind of know the guy on there.
Okay.
But when he's talking to those guys, I feel like Joe Rogan's pain. Like, these guys are just the biggest. They make it look like everybody that does this is stupid.
Right.
And when he starts saying, they're doing it back to him, trying to give him, I'm like, why? It just kills it for me. Like, I love Ron. He's smart. He definitely believes whatever he's saying.
Yeah.
He could be a con man.
Ron has gone over to the woo side. Maybe he's been over there the whole time.
Yeah.
And maybe he's right about that. I don't know, but like I just don't swing that way. I believe it's more flesh and blood, but then you hear different stories where you question that as well. So I'm not going to tell somebody that they're wrong if they believe that. I just don't go that way.
If I had to put my chips down on Bigfoot right now, and the option of him not being real wasn't I would go flesh and blood, but has abilities to do something that's not normal. But I think whenever we're seeing them, it's an animal with actual physical attributes.
Yeah.
It's not a ghost or anything.
Do you think? Do you think it's an interdimensional being? Is that a possibility to you?
Yeah, I do. I do think it's something. If that's whatever that ability is, maybe they can just they free. I don't know. But but too many people have seen it. Like the guy in Minnesota I talked to, he's seen it disappear.
Yeah,
he's seen it come from a portal. This is going to sound crazy. He's seen it come from a portal before.
No, I mean I've heard those stories too. Yeah,
there's too many. There's so many of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd like to see it myself.
I
would take the deal right now. I'd like to take the deal right now that I would know 100% that it's real. Maybe see one, touch it on its arm, smell it, canoodle it a little bit, and give it a hug. Like, I missed you. I think when this is over, we should get an apartment together. And I would take the deal to know 100% and not tell anyone. I'd take that deal right now.
Really?
I would.
Oh my God!
Get it over with. It would make me so happy. I don't know why. It doesn't make any.
I bet you go. I bet you go crazy.
I think that's part of
not being able to.
Have you ever seen the? It's a fan made film, or somebody else made it, about when Andy finally makes the toys talk to him on Toy Story.
I haven't seen that. No.
Oh my God!
I have to look it up.
Andy's like 50 years old.
Okay.
And he opens the box of all the toys. And he holds up Woody. He goes, "Move, talk." and he comes out that he saw him chasing Sid around in part 1.
Okay.
I saw you chasing Sid around. He didn't do nothing but torture you. and he starts bashing. He bashes Rex. He bashes the Slinky Dog. He's going to kill the third one. He's going to kill Potato Head or something.
Oh no!
And no, Potato Head was the first one because like shit goes everywhere.
Yeah.
Eyeballs. And he goes to kill. He goes to kill like the last one, like the telephone, I believe. And Woody goes. Woody's like, we were trying to protect you, Andy. If we talk to you, you get cancer. Why do you think Sid's not around anymore? Turns around. It turns out that if the toys talk to you, you die of cancer in like 4 months.
Oh my God!
And so like shows Andy at his funeral, and Andy gets buried with Woody. It's some dark shit, man.
Oh my God! I don't think I'm going to watch that one.
You know how something so morbid it's funny? That's what that was.
Right.
But there was but that's what I kind of think about the Bigfoot thing. People that see it and know they saw it, whether they saw it or something else, but they know if they know they saw it, it drives them bananas.
Yeah.
It is the biggest crack pipe you could ever smoke.
You know what I find? So I think there's a couple serious, legit groups out there, like large research groups that do long-term research. And even in those groups, I find that there's some fantastical stories that it makes me feel like other members of the group see something, maybe true, maybe not. But they believe they see something, and other members haven't seen anything, but then they start wanting that, and then they start telling stories about how they've seen it. I think it's kind of like a one up or a like that, and that's what kind of throws me off, because you got some people that you're like, oh my god, this guy sounds super legit. He's not telling anything odd. He's just telling it how it is. And then you got another member you're like, oh, this is kind of one of those stories where it sounds like you want to be on TV type of thing. You know what I mean? So that's what twists me up from going from believing to not believing to believing again, depending on that whole dynamic of the group and how they're interacting with each other, and if are they telling the truth or not telling the truth? Damn it, you know.
We know the same people,
right?
Like I said, it's almost become more of. I've learned more about people doing this than I have anything. Like the nature, they want to say yes, everything's real, and like calm down, man.
Yeah.
Especially if you ever deal with. Sometimes I get into people who are really, really woo woo, like crystals and stuff like that, and they'll do that. And the thing, and you want to respect everyone that does it. Yeah. That says that they're like, you're like, well, that's crazy. That doesn't make any sense. Well, I'm over here. My last episode talked about a Bigfoot. So I guess I'll let you ask me questions of crystal. But the crystals always tell you what they think you want the answer to be. That's what gets me. It's never a hell no. Yeah. You're never going to make You're never going to make anything out of your life. You should probably just go end it right now or some shit like that. It's always like, yeah, just keep trying, man. Believe in yourself. Like a fortune cookie. That's all it is.
So, speaking of that, I have a little bit of a theory on things. So like I'm working on a film where like it's about an area. I'm sure you've heard of the term high strangeness, right? So, when you have an area of high strangeness, a lot of times, like the one I'm working on has a history of like there's some Native American history in the area and things like that. And I kind of wonder if there's like geological features, minerals, crystals in the ground in some areas, fault lines, ley lines that have some type of effect on the human mind that we're not aware of. And this isn't my theory. I've heard about this from other people. Where
quartz, limestone.
Quartz, limestone. Where Native Americans used to travel around. They didn't build permanent villages. In other words, they traveled a lot. Well, many of them did, right? Tribes, and they get to these areas that they consider sacred. So, what if that's just a natural feature that kind of affects your mind, and they think it's a sacred area because they feel different when they travel in that area, right? And then more modern times now, people see things in these areas. Maybe it's just something that affects your mind. We know that things poking around in the brain can trigger different visions or whatever, right?
Like DMT.
I'm not trying to say. I'm not saying that's what it is and people are just seeing hallucinations, but it makes me wonder if that's what's going on in some of these things, especially in areas in high ranges where you're seeing Bigfoot, paranormal activity, UFOs, just weird stuff all the time.
What if that's just what that is? What if that's how sacred? What if that's what sacred is? Certain rocks doing certain things. It's not. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that for me. As long as that's what it is, they can prove it. Like you get over here, and all of a sudden you start seeing a rabbit turn into an Indian,
right?
And you move back, and it disappears, and you do this. It's like Stargate, and put your hand in.
Right. Yeah.
Like when James Earl Jones put his hand in the corn. Let me ask you. I thought about this. I'm going to take it really deep, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know where you stand religiously, and it doesn't matter to me. But like, I was thinking as a Catholic, you're not allowed to think other things for some reason. I'm all kinds of outside the box. I'll accept anything, and I would still accept that Jesus was God, even if we found out that he took a drug that drugged him for 3 days and he came back, and then he ascends to heaven. I'm like, well, he still ascended to heaven,
right. So you're Catholic? Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too. So, and that's another thing. You hear people are like, well, if Bigfoot's real, doesn't that mess with your religion? Why?
Really.
Why would it? I don't see that. I don't. And as a matter of fact, as a person, like, I'm not super organized religion. I still consider myself Catholic, but
I try really hard, but I'm so bad at it.
I believe in the afterlife, right? So to me, I believe in paranormal stuff more than anything. I like Bigfoot more than any of the subjects, but I believe in the paranormal more than I believe in a Bigfoot because I believe in the afterlife. So that's why I don't like, honestly, even though I filmed some like paranormal documentary stuff, I don't like messing with it because to me, I feel it's more demonic than.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
Yeah,
get into something there.
Yeah.
The ghost to me is a foregone conclusion that it's real. Like I have 0% doubt that ghosts are real, and it's kind of like when you go out, you go on vacation. Where are you going to eat? You just go to the pizza place because the pizza's going to be good. Like it's a foregone conclusion because just order pepperoni. It's going to be good. You're not going to hate it. It may be bad compared to someplace else.
Right.
But that's what I think about ghosts. I'm like, I'll have ghosts. And I don't have anything else to talk about. Like it's a filler, and sometimes they're really good.
Yeah,
a lot of the same thing. They always have evidence. That's the best part about ghost hunters. They always have evidence. Always have evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Bigfoot's where it's at as far as talking about it because the way it expands, you go from like people talking like Jane Goodall to like you saw one get abducted by a UFO in the middle of Nebraska or wherever the Hopkinsville.
Right. I find that there's an odd thing where if you're a person that sees one of these things, like you kind of get wrapped up in the other two. Like a lot of people are that way that are experiencers, and that's another thing that makes you wonder, like, are they actually seeing something? Are they just more open to things like of this nature? Or is there something wrong with them? And hopefully nobody gets offended with that. I'm not trying to accuse anybody of being mentally unstable. I'm just saying it's a weird phenomenon that a Bigfoot experiencer will then, I've also seen UFOs, or I've also had some paranormal activity. It's interesting to me as a filmmaker about that stuff.
They almost roll together. Have you ever asked any of the Bigfoot guys if they've ever had near-death experiences or died on the table?
I don't think I have. Yeah, no.
Start asking that because it's like 75% of them.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've noticed it. There's been at least 10 people I've talked to that have died on the table, kind of thing.
Wow.
Got brought back, and the most shining example is Long Island Bigfoot. His name's Mike Caliantonio. He lives on Long Island.
Okay.
And he sees Bigfoot all the time out there. He had a head injury. Like his family sees him too now.
Huh.
They're attracted to him. They'll have experiences too.
Interesting.
He didn't have it before. He had a head injury in Iraq. Got hit with an IED.
Okay.
Comes back and now he can see him and he has experience. My favorite story he's ever told was he locked his keys in his Suburban and he was walking down the trail to go to his area to go walk around in the woods for the evening. And there was a set of keys hanging on a fence post. And he's like, surely to goodness. And he walks back and unlocks his car and it's his keys.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That's a crazy story.
Right.
But,
like, what's your thoughts on that? What do you think about that?
If it wasn't so across the board, I would say maybe he's hallucinating. But
yeah,
I've talked to the guy a bunch, and he's not like insane.
Okay,
his I'd call him a friend. He's like a colleague I've met,
Okay.
almost like a mentor
Yeah.
going forward. But he told me he was going to the bodega to get an avocado. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, what do you think the correlation is between near-death experience and Bigfoot sightings?
I think it opens your veil up, for lack of a better word. I think it
Gotcha.
I think it opens you up for more paranormal stuff, just in general, not just Bigfoot. Like,
Okay.
I've heard several, and I was on a show. I met some guys who are into this a lot. They're at the convention last week. Ernie Pack, Todd Eskew. Ernie used to work at Waverly. He runs a haunted house now and a haunted fort. And he went into cardiac arrest 2 or 3 years ago. Like I was on the show with his friends, and they were in the chat. And I just asked him, like, hey, so have y'all ever died? And one guy's like, yeah, I did. I died in a car wreck a few years ago and got brought back. And then Ernie's wife chips in, Denise, who I chatted with today a little bit about an EVP she found on a podcast I did with her. Okay. Which was wild. I was like, holy shit. Anyway, she's like, yeah, Ernie went into cardiac arrest and we lost him for a few seconds a few years ago. I'm like, what the fuck?
Maybe that's the secret.
It's you got a flat line. Like
that's the goal. That's the goal.
You got a flat line. I'm telling you, if you maybe not just ask in the middle of like a latte.
Yeah.
While you're
right.
While you're meeting, hey, so did you ever die? But I bet if you work it into a conversation, you're going to get a better than 70% success rate on that question.
Really interesting. And I know just from being in the film, this documentary industry, whatever you want to call it, I've made friends with a lot of people that book authors, TV guys, people, a lot of people like that do a lot of History Channel shows, Travel Channel. I mean, well-known people. And before getting into it, I always wondered, man, are these people freaks? Are they weirdos? I find that they're like the most polite, just really nice human beings, like by far. I don't think I've really come across a jerk in the field. Like everybody's just super chill. And if you didn't talk to them about Bigfoot or UFOs or paranormal, you would never know they were into it. They're just really kind people. And that surprised me a little bit, because you never know what to expect. And then because they're like that, it makes it more believable to me, whatever they're experiencing.
Yes. I know exactly what you like. Nobody feels like a charlatan.
Right.
Nobody has big egos.
I tend to believe people, which is probably a bad thing, but I think I believe most people when they're telling me. I'm not saying if someone says they saw a demon that they actually saw it, but I believe they saw something. I believe
that's a big deal. They saw something.
Yeah.
The only people I've looked back when I first started this, it was like August of last year, and I was just gathering up anybody I could that had any kind of paranormal anything. And I think I got a hold of some cold readers. I didn't really know what I was doing then. And looking back, I really want to have them on and like test them again, but I don't know if they've watched me or not.
Right.
But like there's a thing I asked when I have a medium on about my building at work, because we think it's haunted. We're pretty sure something's happening, because you can hear typing at night in a locked room that's closed.
Oh, nice.
Like loud typing. And I asked one about it. They told me one thing. One told me another. One thing they all say is there's a bunch of kids there, which is kind of intriguing.
Yeah.
It's been kind of a different story. Yeah. They're all just a little bit tweaked from the other, but they all say a lot of kids. So it makes me wonder if there's like
that could be a catch-all though.
Yeah, I kind of think that too.
Kid ghosts are creepy.
Yeah, that's also something I thought. A lot of it was. I tell you what got me, and everybody laughs at me when I say this, but like I didn't really realize I was maybe being cold read by this person.
Okay,
because we were having such a fun conversation.
What's that term mean?
Cold read? You remember early 2000s? They would have those shows where you could talk to your dead grandmother.
Okay,
in like a talk show.
Yeah,
and they would say somebody here's name. I'm hearing a beat.
Yeah.
My name's Bob.
Yeah.
grandmother's reaching out. And he's like
Okay.
thinking, and it's called a cult duck. They're just going in the crowd and like
Okay.
fishing a little bit.
Okay.
But you remember early 2000s, it was popular. South Park made fun of it.
Right. Yeah.
And Stan starts doing it like, oh my God, Stan, you're psychic. No, motherfucker,
Right.
but when that day at work, when the power goes out at work, the ballast of the lights will blink for a couple of hours to recharge the batteries. And that had happened all that day. And the first thing that lady said was, she's like, I see blinking lights. I'm like,
oh God.
And dude, I freaked out. I was like, what?
Right.
And it may have been, she may have been legit as the day is long, but
Right. Yeah.
but I went to work and was asking somebody else who's about it. She's like, that's probably the blanket answer that they tell everybody.
It could be. It could be. I mean, think of things that are common, but can be construed as creepy if you put them in the right situation. So yeah, maybe not. Like I said, I believe in the paranormal more than anything. But then, I don't always hear legit paranormal stories either. So, well, in my mind, people are trying to pull one on me. So who knows?
I think it's easier to pull it on the paranormal thing than any of it.
Yeah,
because you don't have to really prove anything.
Yeah.
You can
and for some reason, I think most people believe in paranormal more than anything else, which is odd, right? I mean, and I think that's funny, like, not to knock any of the communities out there, but like UFO people, I've got hardcore people that believe in UFOs, like, you're stupid if you don't believe in it, but then they make fun of Bigfoot, and it's like, so you believe more in aliens from outer space than a possible just undiscovered ape. You know what I mean? To me, like, Bigfoot would be more believable than any of the big three. Yet I don't know if it is. I think people believe more in paranormal and UFO than Bigfoot.
Yeah, I think it's the concept of not having any evidence of an ape. That puts Bigfoot in second place.
Yeah.
And the aliens to me are a foregone conclusion. Maybe not in the aspect as we think, but there's got to be life somewhere. There's 95 trillion planets.
Oh, I believe in UAPs. I don't know what I consider more of a probably militaristic type of situation.
I sure hope they're ours.
No kidding.
It's
but
I
don't know.
I think that's why I think there hasn't been a big war in a long time. Is because of all that. I think at the top of the heap, there's it's like one group running the stuff, and the big wars aren't going to happen anymore like they did. Even though everybody thinks it's happening now. Anytime anything happens, it's World War III. Like, calm down.
Yeah. Well, when the money's right, then it'll happen.
Yeah, I mean it's got to be good for business.
Right.
But at the moment, anything pops off. If you can just take a supersonic football and end it all, that's
oh god, yeah.
Somebody knows something, and they used the UFOs back in the 50s to cloud secret projects. So
true.
Why wouldn't they use it now? That's the whole reason the thing popped off.
Yeah,
that's the whole reason it got popular.
Like when stealth bombers come out, it wasn't. At the time, you're probably too young to remember, but it was like, wow. But then if you really think about it, there could have been a lot of UFO sightings before that when they're testing these things that kind of throw people off the trail on purpose, and then you
triangle
find out then you find out we have stealth bombers that look like a UFO. So
the flying triangles is all they're seeing for a while, and all of a sudden here come the B-2.
Right.
I'm kind of wondering, my gosh, I forgot what I was going to say. What? Holy shit. I'm not even high. It was about the stealth bombers. Oh, I'm kind of wondering like what the next Oppenheimer will be.
Right.
And, like nuclear weapons are a foregone conclusion. Like we have billions of them and nobody uses them because if we do, it's over for everybody. So it's kind of not going to do that.
Apparently, we have planes that fly underwater.
Yeah, I think we should have had those already. I don't know. I kind of think we should have the little like X-wings by now. They can just go back and forth to the moon in like 10 minutes.
Hell yeah!
I wonder like what's the next like super like
Right.
don't mess with them. Is it teleportation? Is it faster than light?
Right. Something that we can't fathom. Normal public can't fathom, probably.
Well, they say Lockheed said that whatever you can imagine, we're 50 years ahead.
Oh God.
I can imagine a lot.
Right.
Is it pertaining to me or the general public? Because I've gone pretty damn deep. I'm thinking they probably can do something with the fourth dimension by now.
Right. Which brings you back to is Bigfoot traveling between realities or something,
Did they catch a Bigfoot and trigger its little chemical or whatever? Like,
yeah.
I had a previous co-host named Wild Trees who's a biologist, and when he gets to going on Bigfoot, it will make you sit down and like cross your legs like a child. Because he's using like scientific methods. He's got a couple videos.
Nice.
He's got one idea to get a Sasquatch hooked on crack.
I think they made a movie about that. Cocaine Squatch.
Yeah. Cocaine Squatch. But that kind of thing, like what technology, like if Skinwalker is like the Microsoft technology of whatever world that is, of the other dimension,
right?
Like what kind of technologies does Bigfoot having compared to it, or abilities? Like how do you get that abilities? Is it technology that other things develop and Bigfoot has it naturally?
Right.
Did they give them little teleportation bracelets a million years ago because they weren't evil like people?
Right.
Like what's doing it? How come they can do it and we can't? And can we if we try? That's the problem.
Are they just doing natural things that we don't understand? And
there's that too.
We're assuming it's paranormal or something,
They know where the caves are.
Right.
I mean, you've seen the overlay of the cave and the Sasquatch sightings.
Yeah.
And the missing persons. It's all the same. It's all the same map.
Yeah.
That'll freak you out a little bit. The first time I showed
for sure
my friends that, he's like, wait, what? And I showed him, like, you got the David Pilates map, you got the Bigfoot map, you got the cave map. He goes, what the fuck? It's the same map. And so yeah, like I'm almost in a camp. I'd also take the deal if they weren't supernatural but had some kind of crazy like cloaking ability to disappear like that. I would take that too.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't get too far into that, but I mean, you always think about things like that, obviously.
Yeah, they could jump in a cave.
Yeah.
I don't know about.
Right.
I mean, I'm on
That's
a podcast,
a scary thought, though.
Yeah, I mean, what else is down there? Is there another world? Is it like King Kong 2?
Right, Hollow Earth.
Mm-hmm. That was crazy. like I'm doing a podcast. It doesn't matter what I think or say or enjoy. Like it's all the Marvel Cinematic Universe to me. It doesn't. Like, don't you want scientific facts? I'm like, maybe. If you got them,
why? What's the fun?
I guess. It's like, do you want chicken nuggets? I don't know. If you break them to me, I'd rather have a hamburger. But I like the woo. I like the woo stuff.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be. I don't know if you know who D.A. Roberts is. He's like, he has his own little book universe called the D.A. verse. It's kind of paranormal, kind of superhero-y.
Okay,
real talented dude from the Ozarks.
Okay,
and he and his little team, they are in more dogmen than anything. But they think the tree knocks are echolocation. And
okay.
I thought that was the coolest non-woo thing I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, like Cliff Barrickman. Mm-hmm. He doesn't think it. I don't think he believes it's knocks. He thinks it's vocal or hand clap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were saying it's something like inside their head, like a bat.
Right. Like I mean, who knows? We don't know. That's another thing. I hate it when people say, well, Bigfoot does this. No, you don't know that.
Does he?
You don't know that. Right. Have you seen that? Is that a known thing? No, it is not.
Is that in your biological book?
It's a good theory. I'm not saying you're wrong, but you don't know. Do not say it as fact. Like the whole thing, like Bigfoot does tree knocks. Really? Does he? I mean,
Or does it
very
sound
possible.
like a tree knock?
Right. Does this right? I mean, primates are known to do that, but that doesn't mean you know what's going on.
Turkeys don't take a piece of chalk and rub it on a slate. They make it with their noise.
Right.
They make it with their face.
Right. What the one thing that always creeps me out is when I hear stories that like people hear metallic sounds or like car doors slamming and things like that in places where it absolutely can't be a car door or metal or anything like that. So and then people attribute that to maybe a Bigfoot thing, and it's like, what the hell's going on with that? Like, that's another thing. Like to me, that growing up in the woods, when you hear strange sounds in the woods, it just amplifies the creepiness of it. Like because it's the unknown. I guess that's what attracts me to this stuff anyway, because it's unknown. For some reason, I like being scared. But I don't know.
Yeah, I remember when I used to fish on this culvert where all these little brim were back in summer growing up, and my cousin one time rode up on his bicycle. I remember that scared me so bad because there was no other sound for 10 miles in any direction. Right. Then there was a bicycle coming up, and I was like, "What is that noise?" I remember jumping, and it was just like, it was like a hum because it had the little mud tires on it. There was nothing else, and he was.
I could see that.
He was right, like as close as Franklin, as close as Franklin was to me. And like, oh, what in the hell?
Have you ever heard the theory where people say they feel like they're being watched in the woods or whatever, right? And so there's a theory that's kind of our primitive mind going back to when we were, basically cavemen or whatever you want to call it. And if you wander away from the group, there's danger out there. So like you have this instinct not to wander away from the tribe, not to be out there alone. And that's really what you're feeling. It's not that you're being watched. It's like that primal instinct telling you, hey, you can't go out alone. That's dangerous to do that type of stuff. Even though like some of those animals that existed don't exist anymore in modern times, we still have that trigger in our brains saying, hey, don't do that. I kind of like that theory as well. I've experienced that many times, more as a kid going in the woods by myself and things like that. But
like an old house.
Feel it in there. Oh yeah. I mean, could be anything. It just makes you wonder, or you're actually being watched by a Sasquatch. So
yeah, I don't know that I've 100% ever felt like I've been watched. Like I just agree that I have.
Yeah.
Maybe it may be something you don't like feel, but you just like your subconscious does it.
Deja vu. Have you had deja vu?
Oh yeah, a lot.
Yeah,
weird, a lot, like a bunch. And I don't know why. I don't know why, because it's always like something dumb. Like I saw a bottle on the side of the road.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there's a good explanation for that. I don't know offhand what that is, but I've heard explanations about it before. The thing that still gets me is like when you're thinking of a song and you turn on the radio and then the song's playing. And if it happened once, that's one thing. But I mean, that's happened to me many times. And, throughout the years, that one always gets me too.
That's weird because that has happened a bunch to me as well.
Yeah. Is it all interrelated is the question. It could be.
You say a word and the TV says the word.
Right.
It's happened to me a lot. It happened to me like 100 times.
Oh my God.
Like, oh no, that's weird. It actually happened the song thing actually happened the other day at a kickboxing class.
Oh my God.
It wasn't like 100% like a crazy stupid coincidence, because it was a Spotify playlist that had the song in it.
Okay.
But it hadn't played all day, and it played it was a Halloween playlist. And I don't know if you know about the Fresh Prince Halloween song.
No.
And I said, if this song is, I said if Monster on My Street comes on after this, I'm gonna lose it. And sure enough, I said I summoned that shit.
Right. Are you a believer in synchronicities?
I think so, in
Yeah.
some odd way. Maybe not hard and fast, but
Yeah.
I heard a story about synchronicity today, which is a crazy synchronicity. You brought that up. And Ernie Pack, the one I was telling you about from Waverly, who doesn't want to be associated with Waverly anymore. Sorry, Ernie. Ernie, listen, you used to work at Waverly Hills. I'm going to bring it up. It's
right.
one of the coolest things about.
Come on now.
I'm sorry, there's an issue there, but I'm going to bring it up. And I still want to be friends. You're my favorite. But he did a podcast a few years ago with his stepdaughters, and they told the story about going to a haunted area. And it was a haunted patch of woods. They were investigating this place that was a haunted patch of woods that had negative energy. And his stepdaughter had just gotten a tattoo.
Okay.
And they didn't know what it was. But he showed it to him, and it was like right here. And it was a hallway. It was like an archway that was dark. It had a staircase leading into the archway.
Okay.
And they go out in this patch of woods, and they're doing an investigation. Ernie realized he forgot his lighter. And so he's like, yeah, I got to go in town to get a lighter or something. And somebody goes, well, there's a lighter over here. And it was in the woods. They've never been there. They picked up the lighter. The picture on the lighter is the same tattoo as the stepdaughter.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I love stuff like that. I find in a weird way, and it could be just trying to make synchronicity. I don't really.
If it's too hard of a stretch, I don't.
Yeah. I find synchronicities in between my filmmaking and things that connect one film to the other that don't really relate to it. Just weird stuff. So that stuff like kind of intrigues me as well, for sure. Makes it interesting, at least.
Like you have an accidental cinematic universe.
Yeah. Weird last names from one side of Illinois, and then somehow it relates to somebody else's name in a totally different part of Illinois, totally different time period, but it's the film I'm working on at that time. Uncommon names. This one, my buddy, I have a buddy that helps me film, and he likes to make fun of stuff with me. I'll give him that. We talk about synchronicities a lot in a joking way, but like I live on it's called Route 4, and it goes almost directly to Murfreesboro, where the Big Muddy Monster sightings were. And I've lived here in this area my whole life. I never knew about the Big Muddy Monster, and then now I'm living next to the road that is an hour and a half. Well, it's 2.5 hour drive almost straight to that spot. I mean, I literally live a block off that route. So, I mean, like, it's like, what is going on? And that wasn't like my first one. That's like the 10th coincidence I've had filming and things like that,
You'll find a lot of that when it's a world you're supposed to be in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a lot of stuff like lines up for no reason.
Yeah. For sure.
A lot of people know someone they shouldn't know. Like, how do you know them?
Right.
Like, I've known them for years.
But yeah. Or like what I was saying, like with weird last names, there's this lady I interviewed with the weird last name. Unusual, I should say, because it's not common around here at all. And then one of the police officers that from the 70s that investigated it had the same last name. Like totally two different cases, you know what I mean? Two different stories and everything. And I'm like, what are the odds? It's just weird stuff like that. And it gets me going. It makes me think there's something actually there.
I never did look and see where Murfreesboro, Illinois was.
So it's on west, kind of southwest Illinois.
There's a Murfreesboro, Tennessee, really close to where I'm at, and I kept getting it confused in my mind.
So there's a Cape Girardeau, Missouri is close there.
We've been on for an hour and 14 minutes. Holy!
Sorry about that.
No, it's my fault. I'm inconsiderate of anybody else's time. Okay, I see where it is now. Yeah, it's over on that side.
Yeah.
On the Lake of the Ozarks side of Illinois.
Yeah.
My
So
dad's
I'm doing another documentary kind of in about 20 minutes away from that spot. So there's like a lot of cool, interesting things in Southern Illinois. I'll put it that way.
I've been pretty close to you. My dad's family's from Vincennes, Indiana.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And so we got to go through.
So there's a synchronicity.
Yeah.
Like my second story took place in Crawford County, Illinois. It's a story about the first woman that was hung in Illinois, and the only one. And now there's like paranormal activity around her, and that's like on the border right there where Vincennes is. Crawford County. Yeah,
I don't know what county.
It's like right across the river.
The Wabash.
Yeah, right across the Wabash.
So if you cross the Wabash, that's how they say it in Illinois.
Well, yeah,
that's how my great granddaddy said it. If you cross it there at that bridge,
yeah,
and right when you get across the bridge, you take a right and go down like 5 miles. That's where my great grandparents lived, just across the Illinois line.
Neat.
They did all their business and everything in
okay.
Vincennes, because there's no town
that's
300 miles.
Right.
But yeah, it's really close. I could not bother with where it is, but it's like, how long is that? If that's 1,000 foot, it's got to be less than like 3 miles from the Wabash River there.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're probably related. I'm related to dolls.
I'm not from Kentucky.
No, I'm from Alabama. You kidding?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm related to dolls and neighbors and some other last name up there.
Well, I'm Hungarian, so a little bit farther.
Oh, you're actual Hungarian?
Yeah.
Like off the boat? Like from there?
My parents were from the boat. Yeah.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah.
That's my great grandparents were from the Poland boats.
Same place.
Yeah. It's wild. Yeah. My grandma still cooks that kielbasa every Sunday.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm like, we can eat real food.
Right.
She cooks really good. She cooks really good Southern food too.
Oh, nice.
But there's always like kielbasa and cabbage.
Right. Throw a little bit in there, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I eat the shit out of it. I don't think anybody else does. I love it. I put hot sauce and ranch on it.
Right. Ranch goes good with everything, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Trying to find where Crawford County, Illinois is.
Palestine, Illinois. Lawrenceville.
Oh, craziness. St. Francis. Hey, St. Francis. I'm Catholic, but every time I hear the word St. Francis, I think of Ace Ventura.
Oh, nice. I think of gosh dang it, Stripes.
Mm-hmm. Francis. But the patron saint of media is St. Clair of Assisi. The patron saint of like doing media jobs and things like this.
I don't know if you're pulling my leg or not.
Not lying. I pray to her a lot about the podcast. Now that we've lost all the viewers. Look, y'all, this is my podcast. I'll do it on one. All right. Look, as far as I'm concerned, religion and paranormal and all that are in the same.
There you go.
Stadium. That's why I've got a fella. His name is Mike Payne. He's a member of a company called Paleo Prospectors.
Okay.
And you basically go on like adult expeditions with actual paleontologists and dig up actual dinosaur bones on a dig, and it's like your vacation. Nice.
That's awesome.
It's kind of like they did on City Slickers, but instead of cows, it's dinosaurs.
Right. Along the Wabash River there. Along the Wabash River there, there's a lot of Native American dig sites, like archaeological historical sites there that date back, they believe, over 10,000 years ago, just in that area. So that all that stuff fascinates me. I mean, I think, I don't know. I almost feel like there's a connection between, again, like sacred sites and Native American culture. And I think they knew something that we don't know, or at least could feel it somehow.
And doesn't Ohio have like the giant mounds?
Oh yeah. Illinois has mounds too. Yeah. Yeah. As a matter of fact, in Southern Illinois, I just filmed a mound. It's sitting right there in the middle of a farm field, and legend has it, I don't know if it's true or not, from Kevin Lee Nelson, was that the farmer tried to mow it down many times and his equipment would never. Yeah. So, I mean,
doesn't shock me.
It's neat. It's neat to film. It's neat to see that type of stuff.
I've had podcast guests I couldn't have on because my equipment wouldn't work for them. I have it's still in here. Anyway, what was I saying about the fossil guy? I was saying, like, I think it ties in with it as well as anything else, because if cryptids are real, maybe they're a fossil record.
Yeah.
I was going on a ghost.
Okay.
Back in my hometown, this was about 50 miles away.
Okay.
They got an old building there that has it's a like a attraction haunted house where they dress up like ghouls and jump out and scare you.
Yeah.
It's also haunted.
Okay.
And I was going with one of the paranormal teams, and it's a pretty good episode. But I had this camera, which I've had for years. I bought it with our wedding money.
Okay.
And it's always just been my go-to camera. I won't even close, but it still takes HD video.
Okay.
And I had my selfie stick out, and I'm about to do my monologue on the drive over because I was like live. I was going to do like on location, like Guy Fieri.
Okay.
And this son bitch died on the way to this ghost hunt. And I don't even know if it'll come back on. I've never seen nothing like it. This thing worked impeccably for years. I hit record. I hit record on it 1,000 times and just dead. Just did it then too. Holy shit.
Natural explanation. You killed it.
Yeah, I mean, I've had it for years, but it was weird it died then.
Yeah.
I don't think that it was killed by the ghost. It was just a weird phenomenon.
Yeah.
But there's a guy named Joey the UFO Magnet. This was my old doc from my laptop.
Okay.
Before he was coming on, I couldn't get anything to happen. Had to cancel the show. I don't know.
Right.
It's just odd that it goes out for things like that.
I've had equipment bust on me in bad places too. I mean, either bad luck or something else.
I think that it's a little bit of something that otherworldly messing with you. Maybe the reason it did it wasn't because of that, but I think Murphy's Law is karma. I think it's a little bit of cause. I think you get like karma points.
Right.
You have to burn them, and then, we call it temporal punishment. But I think it's a real thing. I've known it. I think if you do somebody wrong, something bad happens to you, like almost like an inverse reaction.
I believe in that stuff too. I also I wonder, I kind of tread carefully with paranormal because you could get real disrespectful real quick and not even realize you are. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to make, and for lack of a better term, make money off of somebody else's misery. Like, okay, this tragedy happened, so you kind of forget it's a tragedy.
Yeah.
And try to play it off as, okay, now this is a haunted location and I'm going to get famous by whatever, talking about it, filming it, whatever. So there's like a level of respect you got to maintain in these type of things. And that's why I never try to belittle anybody I interview. I don't try to make them seem foolish or anything, because I mean, what makes them more weird than you? I said, you need to be respectful when it comes to these type of things. And I mean, maybe you're not, and that's why bad things happen. I don't know.
I heard The same guys I was talking about earlier, they were planning a tour of 4 or 5 of Lizzie Borden of the Conjuring House and a couple other things. Like it's the holy grail of paranormal haunts. I'm like, man, people had to get royally fucked for that to happen.
Yeah.
I thought that exact same thing you just said. I'm like, a lot of bad stuff. It's not just haunted.
Yeah,
install a software package.
I mean, just because it happened 100 years ago doesn't mean people like the suffering that wasn't real that happened there, and you got to like remember that. I mean, I'm saying you, but I'm just being general. I mean, yeah.
It's like somebody like a lot of for energy like that to still be present. Like you didn't just pass away in your sleep from years of hard work at the mill.
Yeah.
There's a reason sanatoriums are haunted and some other places aren't.
Right.
Because people were just like put through the proverbial meat grinder of life.
Yeah. That's why.
It's funny you said that. I thought about that today.
Again, like I'm not. This isn't my theory or anything, but I kind of am intrigued by the idea of like how a lot of river towns have a lot of activity, and you know, a lot of river towns have history of like tragedy because of flooding, and I mean, you know, and like nowadays, those small towns like in Illinois, they're in hardship. You know, there's not a lot of industry there, so there's a lot of suffering going on just economically, and it's kind of like a river town is like it's a border. It's almost like the fringe of something, and it's kind of, and it makes you wonder if like they're in between, like paranormal could be in between reality. You know what I'm saying? So again, that's not my theory, but I'm intrigued by that idea that it's kind of like a place that is in between two different worlds, like one side of the river and the other, you know, and there's a bridge there, lots of tragedy, you know.
And it could simply be a correlation of the fact that that's where it was settled first. Like comes to mind New Orleans and Savannah.
Yeah.
Probably two most famous river towns in this country.
Point Pleasant, you know.
Ooh, big money river town there.
Yeah.
Even though I found out from someone that loves that type of stuff that they didn't until later associate that bridge until the Mothman until afterwards. It wasn't immediately thought, but it just happened to fit right into the narrative.
Yeah, and so I mean, the whole Indrid Cold thing, Indrid Cold. I mean, I don't know if that was a correlation at the time either. Maybe I guess John Keel maybe correlated the two things, but you know, the whole UFO, like people don't understand that there was a lot of UFO flap associated with the Mothman, but that's kind of hidden now. But yeah, there's all kinds of weird tie-ins with that area.
Yeah, that Mothman, you can go a lot of directions with that.
That's a fun one. It's a fun one,
especially when you find out about how there was like an influx of migrants, and that was part of the people's problems in the area. Like, wait, are you just racist?
Right? Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I found that. I was talking. Have you ever heard of Asher's? I think she's from up your way. On Wednesdays we talk weird. Redheaded girl does cryptozoology, a lot of stuff.
I don't know, honestly.
Yeah, she does like she does research into Mothman. It's her thing.
Okay.
She claims to have actually seen him. But she's telling me all the background of it, and she always corrects me on how I say Indrid Cold.
Okay.
And Indrid Cold, yeah. Because I thought him and the Mothman were the same thing.
Cold, yeah.
But they're not. He said like Mothman was over in Dayton, and Indrid Cold's over in Indrid Cold's in Dayton in Ohio.
Right.
Mothman's down.
Like I said, I'm pretty sure like John Keel's the one that tried to put them
he's
together.
The one that kind of wedged them together.
Yeah.
He's the one that brought them. Here's that ladder, by the way. I found it. The same as her tattoo.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome.
I've been sitting here looking at it while you were talking. Oh, hang on.
That's nuts.
Yeah, is that not some wild shit?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's the type of stuff where if it happened to me, I'd be like, okay, we're going. See ya.
I would. I don't know what I would do because I keep searching for that. It's happened like a couple times on very minuscule levels for me.
Yeah.
And it's been a lot of times I was asking for signs and I got it, and it was just really crazy. Like my last job was horrible, really toxic. They didn't respect your home life, and I'm like just every day just begging, like I want a job that's a mixture between my first job I ever had and the last job I had before that. And that's all I would pray for when it came to jobs. I'm leaving it in your hands, but that's
yeah.
If you could put that in a cauldron and make a casserole to make it a mixture of, I was literally asking for the job I had before that, which I regretted leaving, even though I got a raise. I did it for a career move. I did it for experience in my very first job out of college.
Okay.
And sure enough, I got a job with the company I had before that. At the building my first job was at in college.
That's crazy.
And I was like, and then when it hit me that's what happened, I was like, oh my God. Like I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it until 6 months later.
Oh my God.
I got exactly what I asked for. I just had to. So now, now when I ask for things, I'm like very specific.
Right.
I try to get as specific as I can. If it's something vague that I can't be like, I can't know what I don't know. I'll ask for as close as I can. I'll ask for specific dollar amounts.
Oh my God.
It's crazy how that works.
Nice.
The asking for specifics, I think, is the magic thing, because everybody's like, just get me out of here. Well, ask for something you can manifest. Because I believe manifestation. I believe manifestation is real. That's a whole nother.
Yeah. I thought about that as well. Like, if you have a group of people that constantly believe in something, let's say it's a haunted location, and you have hundreds of visitors there that believe that, does that energy actually form what they're thinking about? You know,
a tulpa. Yeah. Imagination land.
Yeah.
The Kurt Russell, you're killing him. Kurt Russell.
And then, like, what have you done in filmmaking? Like, as far as like that concept, like, are you like, have you done any like filmmaking in locations or anything like that?
Not really. I've done a lot of vlogging.
Okay.
And I've shot, like I told you about the Keurig video.
Yeah.
It's probably I did keto a few years ago when I made the food channel.
Okay.
And I would shoot that pretty well. I would do a voiceover. I've written like 2 or 3 scripts. I had one written about a guy named Rooster Rotgut that thought the apocalypse came, but it was just somebody waking him up with a Polaroid. but like the gist of it was, like, the big reveal at the end of the 6 episodes was that his cousin came in and the guy was asleep, and he shot a Polaroid in his face, and he was so blinded. The guy woke up. He was so blinded that he didn't see his cousin standing. He ran down the hall, ran into his bunker, and bugged out.
Oh my God.
And so like he's like thinks that everybody's a zombie, and he's shooting people's cats and eating them and stuff. It's hilarious.
My God.
I remember, like, I had all kinds of little lines, but I've never even shot anything like that before. And if this ever took off, and I had like my like such and such studios, I would definitely have a wing to where I would do skits and write things like, because I love writing things like that. I just never have the time to sit and shoot them.
So you're more into like scripted versus documentary type of stuff, you think?
I'd like to try both.
Gotcha.
But I guess the video I did on the Keurig thing was a documentary.
Okay.
It was an instructional video.
Okay. Yeah.
But in its purest form.
Yeah.
It wasn't written. It was just, but I had like I did the master shot and then the angles, and I laid them on top of each other.
Nice. Yeah.
But yeah, I know how to, I mean, I went to film school, but I ended up getting a job with the Army as a video teleconferencing technician.
Oh, nice.
And like, it's both the biggest blessing in my life and the biggest regret is that I didn't pursue that creative side of it.
Gotcha.
Took the money and ran like a capitalist, like a pig.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
I did. Hey, here I am. Now I'm circling back. I got plenty of funding and disposable income. Now I'm making it happen.
There you go.
I would have failed back then anyway. I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Out of college, I'm like, just pay me money.
Yeah, most people don't know what they want to do for a long time.
I knew I loved the major, telecommunications and film major. I didn't know what I was going to do with it.
Right.
I think I got pretty lucky with what I did. I didn't have to go through the rigors of working for the evening news or being a cameraman next to a burning hospital or
like
something.
we're in a time that started maybe 8 years ago at the most, where videography is extremely accessible and not as expensive as it used to be, and there's a lot more information out there on how to do it. You know, YouTube is a great place to find information, and as at least for the technical side of things. So I mean, this is the time to be a creative, I'm telling you, because just
and the technology is so much better.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
yeah, it's insane.
Previous to 2015, like I wanted to get more into video because I've been doing digital photography since 2005, and back in 2005. They were kind of talking about videos with DSLR cameras, but it was a joke. It was like, this will never happen. You can't have that technology in a DSLR. And then after 2010, it started to happen. And then it was just like, well, yeah, you got it, but it's crappy. And then 5 years later, it's like, okay, now you can have a really good looking movie with a...
now it looks better than a camera.
Yeah.
I got mine to do that, and I never did catch on to it. That's what I shot all my stuff with.
Okay.
But I just having to sit it down and focus it. I didn't like that. I'm like,
yeah.
And if you didn't have somebody to help you, you get out of focus half the time.
Oh yeah. And God, I deal with that all the time. Makes me feel like an amateur. I am an amateur, but even worse than that, you know. I just ruined an interview. It's not in focus.
Yeah, and you can't do nothing about it.
No.
That's why I got this little camera that's $85 and it's 100% in focus.
Right. Yeah.
All the time. No
Yeah.
matter what I do. Just... For some reason, the factory lens that comes on this Canon will not go to infinity mode. It doesn't look good.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that.
I'm just like, come on! I just want infinity mode. I just want to be able to shoot video.
Yeah, but see, like if you want it to look cinematic, you want that blurry background too. So
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I can't have it both ways.
No, right.
you gotta have that ratio and turn it in.
You don't want Bigfoot to be in focus, bro.
What's is it Hitchcock or Stanley Kubrick that does the pull away and rack focus at the same time? And it's one of those famous guys.
Hitchcock. I kind of did. I did one of those in my last documentary where it turned out great. Like that look is creepy as heck, you know, and it's really amazing how it messes with your head seeing that.
Hitchcockian.
So basically, you have an object that looks like it's staying still, but you're pulling back and zooming in at the same time, and he's the one that understood that that compression kind of gives it a certain look. Yeah,
I know it'll make you feel creepy when you're watching it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know something big's about to happen.
Yep. Yep.
That's wild. Yeah, I had a friend when I worked my first job, we worked on a bomb testing range.
Okay.
And I was shooting video out there all the time with my high 8mm camera with tapes that I just brought from home and shot it for them. And since it was shady video, I would just burn it afterwards in a big fire.
Okay.
He wrote it. He's going to film school now. I think he's actually a director, but he wrote his own little introduction thing, and we shot it out there one weekend.
Nice.
He turned one of these little old buildings out there into a studio.
Okay.
We had to fight wasp and everything else, but he got it done. I mean, they weren't using it or anything, so he just in his breaks he'd go out there and mess with stuff after hours.
It's part of the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Fighting wasp.
I've still got that. He posted on YouTube years ago to an obscure channel. I still got it. Every once in a while, I'll show it to somebody. Like, what is wrong with you people? So I'm like, I didn't write that. It's about some autoerotic asphyxiation. It gets pretty a serial killer and autoerotic asphyxiation. It gets pretty wild. I thought it was it's great to watch, but yeah, it's definitely like an indie piece you would put as a project, like entering into a contest.
Right.
It may be 3 minutes long.
Right.
It's condensed like a Twinkie. I mean, it's all.
I'm sure, and then 3 minutes long took multiple hours to put together. Yeah.
Took the whole day.
Yeah.
I learned a lot that day. I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. I'm kind of glad I didn't get into that.
Yeah.
7 hours for like 5 minutes.
That's the thing. It's kind of like if you're a photographer, you better enjoy developing film, or digitally, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a videographer, you better enjoy editing. And there's definitely an art. It's two different things, even though they're related. But yeah, that's why people hire other people to do that job for them, because it's tedious.
That's been one of the things I've slacked on is this podcast is like almost a lot of post-production.
Yeah.
Because I'll shoot it and I don't have to edit this a lot.
Yeah.
If at all. It comes off. I started it like it was a live video, but doing it ahead of time and having them staged and ready to go. Like a lot of times I'll rush the night before, like an hour before.
Yeah.
I'd like to put a little bit more into it. But I don't have time. Like I said, full plate.
Yeah.
But if I ever do start editing, I'm going to start you get After Effects or something on this laptop.
Yeah.
Create some cool videos.
Yeah. And that's the rabbit hole I'm going down at the moment too, because my background's in graphic design. So started learning After Effects, and then now it's gone from After Effects and traditional animation and then blending the two, and so it's like, okay, first I'm just editing the video in Premiere. Now I'm learning some After Effects. Oh, let's do some traditional animation. So it's like a rabbit hole of art.
I think I'll probably take a Udemy course on it.
Yeah.
If I get it.
Yeah.
That's what I do at work when I don't understand something. I'll pay the $14 and do a Udemy course. Yeah. I'll have a little notebook dedicated to it.
Yeah. Honestly though, so I did a Udemy for After Effects originally, and it got me, I only did a few lessons. It got me a good start. I had a buddy that helped me at the same time, but YouTube's got some amazing creators, and for free.
Pinpoint what you want there.
Yeah.
There's always that thing with like a software. I took a couple classes on After Effects, but that was 05.
Yeah.
I don't remember it.
I bet. Yeah. I bet.
I remember taking a little X-Wing they had, and we'd had to make it go like it was flying and animate.
Okay.
And we had to use the XY axis and the chroma keys.
I'm sure it was extremely difficult compared to nowadays.
I bet it was. Back then we had to batch capture all the tapes.
Right.
All our video tapes look like the old school answering machine cassettes.
Yeah.
And we put them in the little tape reader and go. And you have to go in Final. You have to get in Final Cut and cut out the different sections.
That's what I mean. Like in 2010, I was learning Final Cut, and it was like barely getting the computer to understand what you're trying to do. And then 5 years later, everything's running a heck of a lot smoother, and that's what I'm talking about. Like today is the time to be a creator, because there's so many different products available for you, and that actually work the way you want them to work. What
I remember about Final Cut is if you click the wrong thing, you can mess up the whole project.
Yeah. Yeah, and it
Just
seemed
like
like it
wrong-
was
wrong button.
impossible to figure out what format to import or export things at. And it's
And it
like,
had all those little tabs and buttons. Like,
Yeah.
what does that even mean?
yeah.
You drag like a lobe down the timeline, and it
Yeah.
makes everything turn. I remember that.
Yeah. They ruined it though. They dumbed it down too far. That's why people switch to Premiere and DaVinci now.
So Final Cut's out. I haven't even checked in about
Final
5 years.
Cut's about the level of iMovie.
Oh God, iMovie's
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah. It's like basic, meant for masses, not for serious creators.
Yeah, I thought it was like an industry standard there for a minute.
It was for a minute, and then like overnight it just changed, which is weird.
I was ready to pay the $1,200. Now it's $9.99.
Right. That's so true.
I mean, I could work Final Cut. I was kind of getting good at it.
Yeah.
But then, I couldn't afford it right out of college. I was going to start like a marketing agency and start making commercials.
Yeah.
But never did do that. I think it might have been a blessing because I might have failed miserably without any kind of experience.
Yeah.
I still may do that.
Hey, there's plenty of time.
We've been going for plenty of time. I may wrap it up now because I know we're on the same time zone because on that show Perfect Strangers, Chicago was in Central Time Zone. So I know.
Yeah.
I know it's not like talking to somebody. Sometimes I'm on somebody with Eastern time and they're like, it's so late. Like, calm down. You live in Manhattan. That place never sleeps. Well, Joe, you've been a great guest, and I feel like you're added to the list of instant best friends.
I call
some of my guests. Some of my guests, I'm like, please don't ever call me again. I have children. I'm a Christian.
I am now blocking you on Facebook.
You should, because I will be. If I need something, I will message you, but I won't do it very often.
Anytime, honestly, yeah.
Do you have anywhere you want people to find you? Websites or place?
I'm trying to build my YouTube channel, which is Red Room Creative Media. So that's the name, my DBA. So that's my company I go with. So I got a channel, and I post. Like you could see, I believe I have my first 2 documentaries on there. They're not quite like my very first one's not very Bigfoot or paranormal related, but there is a paranormal aspect to one of the stories in it. It's like a chapter story, and so I got that one. My second one's more of a paranormal. It's so that was the story about the first woman hung in Illinois, and then like there's paranormal activity, and I got like a lot of different shorts on there. I got interviews with some different well-known people. So yeah, if people want to check that out, that's Red Room Creative Media. That's on YouTube, and a lot of free stuff on there. And I've kind of taken a little bit of hiatus from filmmaking, but I'm getting back into it and trying to get a project finished up. And so I'll be putting stuff on there as we go. Nice. I've got like a lot of different extras from documentaries that I've made, behind the scenes or B-roll type of stuff I like to put on there. So
those are kind of fun.
Yeah. I enjoy other filmmakers that do that. So I figured why not, so, but definitely check that out. And I do have a Creature from Big Muddy Facebook page, but that's got some other stuff on it too. If you're more into the Bigfoot stuff, definitely check that out, and you can watch that on Amazon Prime, Tubi, Roku, all kinds of weird channels. So yeah, Creature is like my most popular film that I've done for sure. It's been seen proudly to say in like 15 countries around the world. So it's kind of, it's still out there, still making the rounds.
I think that's how I found you. I typed in Bigfoot in IMDb.
Nice.
Because I had such about a 3-week run of guests that I don't understand how they even turn their computer on. I'm like, I've got to vet. People have to be vetted some way. I have to do something. And so like if documentary on IMDb, dude's legit. He's some kind of sense.
Hey man, I know enough to be dangerous, but not enough to be great. So,
like they say in film school, you can have to know the rules before you can break them.
That's right. That's right.
Yep. All right, man. Take it easy and stay warm. And when I post this, I will be the first to let you know.
All right.
Everybody
I appreciate
check out his YouTube channel, Red Room Creative Media. It is in the description.
Appreciate you.
Let's play our theme music.
I'll feed him if you're coming for me. Hope you're ready for a demon.
All right.
I got eyes in the back of my head. I'm seeing. Take me for granted, and you know I'm leaving.
I never didn't believe in Bigfoot. I never believed in it. I didn't believe in it. I never gave it any thought.
They kept wood knocking back and forth to each other, and it was in a pattern.
Barn owls don't typically throw rocks.
I come across these tracks.
Sasquatch is still not on my mind.